Today we have with us Sarah Boggan, yoga instructor,
Hi.
teaching here in Cameron. Sarah, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into yoga in the first place?
I started practicing yoga pretty much by myself when I was 13. I saw someone doing it, and I grew up in Mississippi and never had seen it before, and just something about it appealed to me. And I got a book and started practicing by myself. I finally got my first teacher when I was 19.
So now you teach.
I do.
Have you always wanted to be a teacher?
I didn't always want to be a teacher, but at some point my teacher asked me to teach for them, and I began teaching that way. And it comes a point where you just need to teach what you know.
So is there a certification that's needed to be an instructor?
When I started teaching, there wasn't. That's kind of a relatively new thing within the last, considering how old yoga is, the last 15 years, certification has become more important. But I have gotten certified since
Okay.
then.
So with regard to yoga, what are some of the things that would call you to be certified? In other words, what is it that you have to learn to be certified?
The program that I went through was about a year long, and they taught several different kinds of yoga, and they taught about health benefits of yoga, fitness, the philosophies, different kinds of philosophies, and mostly just communicating with your students, seeing what your students need and being able to give them that.
So you got the certification
Yes.
about yoga, so you learned these different aspects of it. Now, I realize that yoga may not be a martial art, but what is it about yoga that might be a tool or might be important with regard to our self-defense?
I think that teaching yoga, practicing yoga, helps you be more in the moment, which is, we're often worried about the past, we're worried about the future, we're always thinking about something now, where we have to be next. And practicing yoga can slow that process down. So, say for the example, you do find yourself in a situation that's questionable. Say, for example, a bad guy comes up and wants something. Possibly, by staying calm and staying in the moment, you may be able to react in a way that doesn't lead to violence, or maybe you can get out of it a little more easily. Sometimes that doesn't always work that way. And hopefully through that, the practicing of yoga can help you recover from that trauma.
So have you ever worked with groups of people that have experienced some sort of trauma?
I have.
Tell us a little bit about that.
I worked for 5 years at Lower Ridge Treatment Center, teaching soldiers who had post-traumatic stress and issues related to that, often alcohol abuse or drug abuse.
How did yoga help them?
A lot of them told me that they felt more relaxed. They had a lot of trouble sleeping, your mind running. And yoga takes you back to your breath. It's synchronizing movement with breath, working with balance. When you're balancing, all you have to think about at this moment is standing on one foot. You don't have to think about what you have to do tomorrow or what happened 3 months ago. You're just standing on one foot. And that seems very simple, but it's kind of powerful if you can just give yourself that little break. I had some that were regular. They wanted to come back all the time. Some did not want to participate as much. But I would always invite them to stay in the room, to still be a part of it, to still be included, even when they didn't feel like they wanted to be included. And I have to say, I think I got the best out of them. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Was this sponsored by the military?
Not by the military. It was a private company, but only active duty soldiers were admitted. It was it was a come and go clinic, a day clinic.
Okay. Okay. So it was semi-military then.
It was only, yeah, but it was only soldiers.
Okay.
They were referred from Fort Hood.
Okay. So, Sarah, tell us, what do you do now? Where do you teach now?
I teach in Belton. I teach a class for people who have Parkinson's. I've been doing that for about 7 years. We meet once a week. That class is seated, some standing for those who wish to stand. We work mostly on balance and mobility.
Because these folks have movement disorders then.
They do, which also affects the voice, so we do a little singing too.
Okay.
Yes, and I have a class here in Cameron, and I have a class in Temple.
Where and when?
The class in Cameron is at the Episcopal Church, which is 200 North Travis Avenue, and that class is on Tuesdays at 12:30 to 1:30. The other class in Temple is at the Cultural Activities Center at 3011 North 3rd Street in Temple, Texas. That's Monday nights at 5:15 to 6:30. And the Parkinson Support Group is at the Foundations Methodist Church at 10751 West Adams Avenue. And that's address is Temple. It's got Temple, Belton kind of marketplace. And if anyone's interested in the Parkinson group, please email me at sarah@wolfmoonyoga.com, and I can contact you to the person that can set you up, because that support group is not just yoga. They also give information workshops. They have symposiums. They do a lot of information. So
what about Alzheimer's? Are there any students that suffer from that?
this is a separate, and this is just Parkinson's.
Okay.
Yeah.
So someone who has a movement disorder caused by another disease wouldn't benefit from that, or it's a different group?
They would, but this group is just for people that have Parkinson's, because it's a part of the former movement disorder
Okay.
group. So it's a separate group. But I would say that any
So if someone goes on wolfmoonyoga.com, will there be a little place there where they can put their information in and contact you that way?
Absolutely. And I can hook them up with the people they need to talk to get a part of this group or any other group.
So every Monday evening at 5:15 at the CAC, that's the Cultural Arts Center?
That is.
Okay. And then the Episcopal Church, for all of old folks here in Cameron, that used to be Anderley Lumber, I believe.
Oh, it did? I
Yeah.
didn't know.
Yeah, that was more than 2 months ago anyway. So I appreciate you coming on. You got anything else to add, talk about?
No, thank you.
I know there's different kinds of yoga. I've heard of Baptiste yoga. I've heard of Hatha and Ashtanga and a bunch of others. Is there a big difference?
There is a difference.
Hot yoga.
The postures are the same. Hot yoga, you pretty much just turn the temperature up and work really hard. I practice Ashtanga yoga, and there are six different series. It starts with primary series, and you have to work your way through primary series, and then you get to second series. And that one appeals to me a lot more. It's very precise, and there's numbers, there's counts to every, and I was a former ballet dancer, so I love nothing more than form and technique. So that one appealed to me. What I like about it is I can take anything from Ashtanga and apply it to teaching someone in a wheelchair.
Okay.
I take the same principles of that, the same working efficiently, working intelligently with your body to do what you can do at that moment wherever you are.
So sometimes I come out of the courthouse, and a lot of courthouses in America are not in what you would call the best part of town. And of course, guess what I'm thinking about? I'm thinking about what the judge said or one of my witnesses said. I'm not thinking about the fellow lurking over in the dark corner in the parking garage. So this mindfulness you speak of, is that sort of how we relate to self-defense here, and just making sure you don't get in trouble in the first place?
Yeah, Yes, the self-defense being in avoiding the conflict, and avoiding the conflict by being aware of your surrounding. And yoga kind of can give you that moment of being practicing, because that takes practice. Because you're right, we always are going on to the next thing. It takes practice to sit down and just sit here in the moment, listen to the sounds of the room. You know, so you walk out the door and you take a scan of the place. As a woman, I think we all kind of do that. Whereas who is closest to me in the parking lot, who's walking to their car, what car is coming by as I'm walking toward my car. That kind of awareness, as opposed to checking your phone and worrying about, you know, oh, did I get everything?
Well, I know there's a lot of people out there that keep thinking about some sort of a program where they help themselves be able to touch their toes and maybe be able to move out the door a little faster, or move away from a criminal a little faster. And I know a lot of people say, well, I could, I should, I must, and then they go back to they could now, right? Because you teach here in Cameron.
That's right. Yes.
So is there any reason for someone who, oh gosh, I guess is built a little bit less than Arnold Schwarzenegger was 20 years ago, to be afraid to come to your class?
There's no reason to be afraid to come to the class, and touching your toes is highly overrated. So you don't have to know how to do that. You don't have to know how to do anything. Just show up. You'll have to take your shoes off.
That's
It's
it.
barefoot. Bring a mat. If you don't have a mat, call me. I'll throw one in the back seat.
All right. Well, that is, again, wolfmoonyoga.com.
That's correct. Thank you.
Thank you.